Hello, hello, hello. This is my first official live video. Um, Not really sure what I'm going to say, but I wanted to start somewhere. So here it goes. We are in a crazy time right now. We are in a place, in a time where there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of restlessness, there's a lot of concern about what will be tomorrow. And I wanted to speak about that because I feel that in this current place where we're at, um, I feel that there's ways that we can make the best out of it and that we can come out on the other end, really, maybe even becoming better than we were before. And that's very possible. What we're witnessing right now is a form of magic, a form of a spell that is upon the people. Um, the whole world, or at least the known civilized world, um, for the most part, those who are tuned in to the media apparatus believe that there is a killer virus that is stalking them. I mean, not everyone believes that, but the majority of people believe that. And they believe that if they put on a mask, they'll be protected from this virus. Um, they believe that if they touch someone else, that they could get the virus. They believe that if they, go outside for too long, they can expose themselves to the virus, and so on and so forth. Not to belittle uh, the disease or the sickness, but as we all know, people get sick every year of a plethora of different types of diseases. So that is, to say that when God decides that you are going to become ill, or God decides that you are going to become, when your creator decides that you're going to become ill or sick or die, that is something that we don't have any control over. We can pray, we can take precautions, we could obviously take medicine, um, but ultimately death is in the hands of God. And when we realize that life and death is not in our hands, but it's in the hands of our creator, then uh, we look at the challenges a bit different, with a different perspective. And we can begin to um, accept the different types of conditions that come upon our life, and we can happily accept them because we know that they're coming from the one all-powerful creator. So I always think to myself, like, if we feel um, out of touch, or if we've gone through something where we feel like we've, sort of fallen off the wagon, so to say, and we want to get back up, or we want to change our life, or we want to start a new a new um, a new day. Where do we start? What's the starting point? And the starting point uh, would be to first understand where we come from. That understanding that the human being comes from a sperm drop, a liquid that is pretty insignificant. The human being comes from this fluid that, if you get it upon yourself, you want to change your clothes, or you want to take a shower. Okay. Um, Understanding that that's our origin will then give us the humility to then realize the next thing after that is that um, coming from this fluid, we were created into a magnificent creation with eyes to see, with ears to hear, with a tongue to speak, and we're given these faculties so that we could utilize them uh, in a way that celebrates the designer and creator of them. And so, really, the starting point is to realize our origin and where we stand in front of the one who's created us. Now, if someone doesn't believe that they have a creator and they believe that they're self sufficient, then we have a problem because it's this person who cannot beat their own heart, who cannot hold their own urine, and who has virtually no um, ability to sustain themselves, will have to come inevitably to a point that when they become sick or when they become faced with a condition that comes from outside of themselves, they, instead of turning to the creator, or turning to one's creator, to the one who made the sickness, instead of turning to the one who uh, has who originated the condition, the conditions coming from the creator of all conditions, instead of understanding that, they're going to try to solve it themselves. They're going to be wanting to be self-sufficient, and they're going to, in that regard, when we have this idea or mentality of becoming self-sufficient, then you have your willpower that is only you only have so much willpower, and you only have so much energy in your tank. And what happens when that willpower runs out, a person will inevitably fall into a place of despair, hopelessness. And that's why a lot of suicides take place, is because these people have a hard time looking beyond themselves. All they see is themselves, and all they see is their own power, and all they see is their own abilities, and they're not attributing anything, their faculties of sight and hearing and speech, the food they have, the car they drive, the children around them, the blessings that they're enjoying every day, they don't attribute them to anyone other than themselves. And so when these things go out of control and they lose grip, they begin to fall into different levels of despair. The greater the hardship, the greater the despair. And there's exceptions to the rules. Some people can find ways to cope, um, even though they might not believe in a creator. Um, but inevitably, it wears on the individual, and a person would have to, you know, become. They would have to. They'll reach a point where they have to uh, be humbled, and they would have to be. They'd have to go through the process of being broken. That's why a lot of people, when they have spiritual awakenings, they're first broken, or they have some massive trauma that they go through, and then they are sort of awakened from that. So where am I going with this? Is I wanted to, because in this day and age, I feel that um, we are, all of us, myself included, we try to control everything, and we forget that um, this whole entire creation, this perfect creation, is being sustained and is running in perfect harmony for centuries and centuries, for eons, right? Or however many thousands of years. And so um, we need to arrive at a point where we can relinquish, that worry, uh, and start to trust our Creator. Um, so, having said all that, um, you know, we're at a place, I think, now that um, we have I think, a lot of changes that are coming, big changes, things that are coming down the pipe that are going to require us to be stronger, more spiritually um, stronger, so we can be able to weather some of the challenges that are coming ahead of us. Um, and so it's my request of myself and my friends that we start to try to develop those uh, those qualities in us that would allow us to become more spiritual and more fortified in our soul, in our spirit, in our heart. You know, the great theologian Imam Ghazali, he said that there's four channels to the heart. You have your mind, which is one. You have your ears, and you have your eyes, and you have your mouth. And it's through these channels that um, a person, whatever they think about, whatever they speak about, whatever they listen to, and whatever they look at, those things will come, inevitably will come into the heart. So we have to fill our lives with thinking, looking, listening, and speaking good, um, so that our heart can uh, get its sustenance, the food it needs to become healthy as well, right? Um, there's certain things that are so destructive that if we give our mind a heart, our mind and eyes and ears and mouth to, it can it can really lower our spiritual state and make us vulnerable to outside external negative forces, and really catch us off guard and send us spiraling down a slippery path. So I encourage us to take care of those things. I know this is a little bit strange for me. I'm talking about this now. I'm probably just going to talk about a few random things over the next um, few weeks until I find, I guess, my comfort zone about what I'm going to consistently talk about. This was just off the cuff. I don't even know who's listening. It's all good. Um, I might not always, it's not that it's always going to be like a spiritual preachy thing. But I do want to put some things out there because I think that we do have to sort of build our spiritual state up stronger than ever now, because there is things coming that would require us to be uh, stronger and more fortified. So I hope you're well. I hope your family and friends, everyone, is well and safe. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.